Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Inside the Force. And welcome back to Hannah.
Hi.
God, when was the last time? I was trying to look. When was the last time you were on a show?
It's been a while.
August. Looks like August 4th.
Yeah,
so a little over a month.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, a little over a month. So welcome back, Hannah.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And, of course, also with us, Cyber Ren. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Hey, guys.
He was able to fill in for you for a couple weeks. I got busy, too, so we didn't actually do every week. But
yeah,
we did some council sessions as well that we put out there. So
go watch them. They're great.
Thank you. Barton's been filling in for you. So
gonna pass the torch back now.
Yeah. But the main reason though we wanted to have the three of us on here is we had some unfortunate news this weekend where we lost James Earl Jones, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's kind of wanted to do that, and it sucks because we're starting to lose some of these original trilogy guys, and he's a big one. He's a big one that's been around for a long, long time. Yep. First, though, as always, thanks to our patrons. I really do want to say, and I know we say it every episode, that we appreciate and everything like that. But, even more so, we were talking just a tad before we started recording, and I'm not going to get into it too much. We were talking about some of the toxicity that's out there a little bit, and I just wanted to say, again, that I appreciate these guys being with me on this, and how much I truly can say that we positively talk about Star Wars. And even though we may have strong opinions about things, we're still spreading the love and wanting to enjoy Star Wars as much as we can. But our patrons, that's what you're going to get out of us. So thanks. And I know that they're patrons for a reason. They enjoy hearing our opinions, and it's very refreshing and very appreciative. So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, a couple things I wanted to get into first before we talk, probably a little serious. So Hannah hasn't, I'm sure she hasn't experienced this yet, but Martin and I have dived into Star Wars Outlaws. So Outlaws is out now.
I've watched, what are they called? Let's Plays of it?
Oh, yeah.
I've watched Let's Plays. I still don't have a PS5, so can't play it.
Wait, it has to be a PS5? It was only on PS5 and
I think
Xbox?
Outlaws is only on PS5.
Well, and Xbox.
Xbox, but we don't have an Xbox. My husband vehemently hates Xbox, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I have an Xbox. Martin just got a PS5, I think,
I got
right?
PS5, yeah.
Well, there you go. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'll go first, because I started playing it. I started playing it 3 days. I got it 3 days before him because I got a different edition. So I started playing it right away, and I got busy, so I haven't played it in a little while. But my daughter has played it a lot, so I've actually sat here and I've been sitting here kind of working on stuff and watching her play. But for what I've played, and I think it goes without saying, and I think Martin, I remember you texted me, but it's basically Assassin's Creed with a Star Wars skin.
Exactly.
It's made by the same company, Ubisoft. And look, I love Assassin's Creed, so the gameplay came very easy for me, and interacting with the characters and the storylines and all that stuff I enjoy it. So I just want to say I enjoy the game. I enjoy this different side of the universe that you're seeing, which is strictly the underworld. I mean, they could have easily called this game just Star Wars Underworld, which was the name of the TV show that Lucasfilm was trying to to do a long time ago. And I think this is also a little bit of, do you remember they were developing a game called 1313 for a long time, which was supposed to be about Boba Fett and the underworld. I mean, this is very much probably maybe pieces of that in it. But either way, the thing about it is the only thing I'm just confused about, to be honest, and maybe Martin could help me with this, it's not open world in the way I thought an open world game was supposed to be. It's very much, again, it feels like Assassin's Creed, but it's very much like the Jedi Fallen Order games. Like you move planet to planet when you're kind of ready to move planet to planet. And I guess once you complete maybe what you're supposed to be doing, eventually you'll be able to just bounce back and forth, but you're still only restricted to these 5 planets that is in the game. So I can't, now I'm not expecting, I didn't expect that you can go to all the thousands of worlds in the galaxy, but I figured there'd be a few that you can just go to and hang out at, right? So I don't necessarily know really what the definition of the open world, why they kept pushing this to be the first open world, because I feel like it's as restrictive as Jedi Fallen Order. Like I felt like I was able to move around just like I was in that game. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'm gonna keep exploring. It's fun. It's like, it's a Star Wars game. I mean, and I will say the visuals of it are incredible. Like it feels and looks like Star Wars, and I actually love the fact that you can sit down and play Sabacc, which is pretty awesome. I've played lots of games with Sabacc on there. So anyway, I would, I don't know. I would probably, I'm not that far in it because I'm still on the same planet, but seeing Sam, my daughter, get to a few other planets, I'd probably give it I'd probably rate it like a 7 out of 10. I mean, it's not very high, but it's not very low either. It's enjoyable. So, Martin, what do you think?
I have a love-hate relationship with this game. There are moments where I'm like, oh my, this is so much fun. I'm really get into it. And there's moments where I just I'm like, I am so done. I hate this game. Like, how could they be so it's so disappointing. I guess the best word to use is it's unpolished. There are so many aspects to the game that I feel are unfinished. Like they rushed it to market. They should have spent another 6 months developing, because there's so many things I'm coming across. Like, really, that is not finished. But yet then there's, like you said, there's times where the game just opens up and you're in this beautiful Star Wars vista and you're riding your speeder bike around and like, man, this is great. Like I'm just chilling on this planet and going where I want to go and just having some fun. So another good description, it's a roller coaster. Really, really good, really, really bad. Really, really good, really, really bad. So my biggest disappointment is where I agree with you. The look of the game itself, the world that you're in, is beautiful, but your character, Kay Vess is her name.
Yeah.
The graphics for her are completely horrible. Like, she is unfinished. When you turn the camera around to look at yourself, I'm looking at her going, she looks like a character from a game 10 years old. Mm-hmm. They're unpolished. There's no definition. It looks hazy. There's no detail to her. I'm thinking, how is your actual character looking so horrible compared to the world that's around her? I was really, really disappointed in that, because even games like the Uncharted series or Tomb Raider from 10 years ago, those characters look better than Kay Vess does. So I'm really let down by that. But and then when you were talking about the open worldness of it all, it is very linear driven. It is restrictive. Like, depending on what mission you're on, it only allows you to go to certain parts of the game world that you're in based on the mission you're doing. If you're on a mission and it says you need to be in this town to do it, you try to leave the town and the whole screen turns red and goes, return to the game area within 10 seconds. And there's a countdown timer that comes on the screen and you have 10 seconds to get back. Otherwise, it just automatically ports you back to where you're supposed to be. I'm like, open world? You just restricted me from going over there. So But where those are my biggest complaints. So where I'm enjoying it though is the wandering around. Like when you are in a town and you just get to freely wander around and explore what you want, and people are just living. The game's just alive. It feels very organic, and people are just milling about. You can't talk to anybody you want. Like you can walk up to people and they just ignore you. You can't actually interact with everybody. But it just feels like you're hanging out on this planet and you're just wandering around and being part of it. And if you are in a couple of the missions where the planet opens up and you can hop on your speeder bike, off you go and you just take off. And I've gotten it in areas, and again, this is where the restrictive part of it is. I've gotten to areas where I'm obviously not leveled up enough to handle. Like I've gotten into a stormtrooper area an Empire area where there's stormtroopers everywhere and they don't want you there. And if you stay longer than 5 seconds there, they're coming after you. There's speeder bikes and lasers and you're done. You don't survive that. Same with there's a couple of Pike Syndicate missions I've tried to do, and it's like I do not have the upgrades on my blaster or on my clothing to even survive 10 seconds there. So there's specific areas you cannot get to until you're good enough at the game. So it's like I said, it's up and it's down, it's up and it's down. Love hate.
So in watching the game, I find it very interesting that you compare it to Assassin's Creed, because I absolutely love Assassin's Creed. I'm not playing the game, I'm watching people play the game, so I can't say yay or nay, but based on what I'm watching, I would love to know, and I'd love to experience that it is like Assassin's Creed, because as I'm watching it, to me, it does not feel like that. Martin, I do agree with you, it does feel very unfinished. And the reason why is the Let's Play video I saw started with this guy saying, "Hey, guess what? I'm gonna do a bazooka and no one's gonna react." He shoots a bazooka, makes a huge explosion, looks at the bunch of people next to him, and they're all just going about their own business. So things like that make you definitely pull you out of the game. Like even something like Mass Effect. Especially Mass Effect 2. When you're walking around the Citadel, you can walk up to different groups, and do they interact with you? No, but you overhear their conversations, and it just brings that whole world immersion to it. So I agree with you in watching it. I'm like, okay, there is some AI stuff going on here that is not clicking. I think it's a stunning game. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I do doubt the whole open world thing, because even with something like Dark Souls, which I would argue is open world, because you can go straight to the bad guy at the end of that game. Like you can just go to the main villains and end the game in, I think someone did it in just under an hour. You could totally do that for Dark Souls. But for someone like me who's like, oh, what's this new area? And I stumble in and all of a sudden I'm killed with one hit. I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for this yet. I got to go back. And even Skyrim does that. If you go on certain missions and you're not ready for the mission, you're going to know immediately that you're not ready for it. I feel like that's part of the whole open world thing, but it's a game I do want to play. I would love to hear y'all's opinion with regards to the fight mechanics, because based on what I was watching, it seemed like it was very easy. If that makes sense.
That's where I think it comes into, like Assassin's Creed, is the majority of the game you're sneaking around.
Okay, so it depends on if you choose to be someone who's sneaking or somebody who is very combative.
The whole thing is sneaking. I mean, you're trying to steal from this.
You can't win.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at. Like you sometimes can, but like you're either sneaking up and taking people out. You're rarely pulling your gun and shooting people unless you have to.
It's 90% sneaking and trying to take them down. And if a couple of them spot you, then it's a firefight. And if you've managed to take at least some of them down, you can win in a gunfight. But the targeting, it's not the easiest targeting. Your gun is it's very hard to get a pinpoint shot and try to hit them. But
you hold the other trigger and you can aim.
Yeah. Or when you got 4 or 5 guys on you and you're like,
that's
smoke bomb.
Then it becomes like a shooting game. But but no, I do think, Hannah, you actually, when you're walking around town, you actually do hear conversations going on all
Oh,
over
do
the place.
you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
very immersive. It's very immersive.
I must not have heard
Yep.
that. Must not have watched the right one then.
And some of them you can actually, you'll hear a conversation and there'll be a little point, there'll be a little cursor will show up on screen. Hey, lean against this counter. So you press the button, you
That's
lean on the counter,
amazing.
and then you hear the whole
Then you hear
conversation and you
everything
get
going
and a
on.
mission gets presented to you.
So
Yeah.
I clearly did not watch the right Let's Play.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot going on. But unlike Assassin's Creed, which this kind of, again, I think someone commented, I didn't know until I commented and then tried it for myself, is that in Assassin's Creed, when you're walking through a crowd, you're moving them out of the way.
Yes, and they're reacting to
These
you moving
people,
them out of the way.
Star Wars doesn't do that. They
You just
actually
walk
don't
into them.
move. You walk into them and they don't move.
Oh,
So I thought that was mishandled. I think Assassin's
Unfinished.
Creed felt so real because, if you had to actually slowly walk through people so you didn't piss them off or make them react.
you could push someone over easily if you're not careful.
You're not doing that here. You're not doing that in this. So
Well, here's 2 key points that, as you guys were talking, remembered when I say the game is unfinished. There's an area where you're going into the Crimson Dawn's one of their bases, and you have to sneak past a bunch of people, get into an elevator, go down, solve a couple things, then come back up the elevator and try to get past those same people again. But when you come up the elevator, they're all waiting for you, and it's like you got to sneak around and try to distract them one by one and take them out quietly. So you use your little critter friend Nix, and you send him out to distract them. They come check it out. You take them down. What happens is sometimes it doesn't always work that great, and they notice you. So what happens is you're stuck in the elevator, and they're coming at you, and you can kind of hide to the side of the elevator door and kind of be protected, but they come around to get at you. And what happens is if you back into the elevator too much, the elevator door closes, and sometimes it goes back down and you got to go back up again. But other times what I've noticed is they're coming to get you, the doors close, and now their bodies are half in the elevator and half out, and the graphics are all glitching, and they're stuck in the door. I'm like, really, guys? Like, that's what I mean by unfinished. Now I'm stuck in the elevator with the door closed, and these guys are stuck in the door graphically, and I'm like, oh my God. So I have to hit restart or reload the thing. So that was one instance, and it happened a lot of times. The other instance is when during some sneaking, when I'm sneaking around one of the Pike Syndicate areas, you'll be ducked down behind some containers, and you send Nix out to distract them, so the Pikes go walking past you, and then you pop up and try to get them from behind. But if they notice you, sometimes the timing of it, the game it puts you in this slow motion, and you're still tucked. They're turning around. They see you. You can't jump up. I'm sitting here trying to hit the square button, attack, and the whole game slows right down, and your 2 characters spin around. They do this little do-si-do, and then it goes, bah, you've been captured. I'm sitting there going, what is going on? Why can't I pop up and get this guy from behind when he's clearly distracted? Instead, the game can't figure out what to do because he's turning around as I'm trying to attack him, and it glitzes out. And thinking, come on, like, it's not finished. It is unpolished. These are the things that are bugging me, and yet I'll stay up, like last weekend, I stayed up to 3 a.m. playing because I am having fun sneaking around trying to get better at the game. But then something like that happens, I'm like, damn it, I'm done.
right.
Can we talk about Nix and how great Star Wars is at creating these lovable sidekicks, like
Nix is
and
fun.
lovable droids too? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's a cool part of the game that allows you to do stuff that you normally wouldn't be able to do. I mean, again, like Jedi Fallen Order, you had B1, right?
I like B1. Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. It's just a live animal now. And
Yeah.
so again, I think it's got a lot of Jedi Fallen Order in it. It's got a lot of Assassin's Creed, but I mean, it's by far not a groundbreaking game by any means. But it's fun Star Wars that should allow you to sit there and, as Martin has done, played for hours and have fun.
I'm still only on the second planet. So
yeah.
Because you deal with the Pikes, you deal with the Crimson Dawn, and then I met a fellow that wants me to work for the Hutts. So I'm busy working my way around, and I don't like the Pikes, so I've been doing everything to play against the Pikes. So my reputation with them is bad. Every time I see them, they come after me. I'm trying to get in with Crimson Dawn. I'm trying to get in with the Hutts, but it's so funny because you want to please the Crimson Dawn, but yet one of the missions forces you to break into their hideout and steal something, and now your reputation goes back down. Dang it! I want to be good with these guys, so you've got to pick and choose your missions to make them either happy or make them upset with you, and it's and that part's fun. Like this, I find the sneaking is easy sometimes. To answer your question, Hannah, and sometimes it's really, really hard. And I've done the same part 30 times and I can't get past it because I don't know how to distract them or sneak them in the right way where I can get past them. So it's
Well, you already have more patience than I do as a gamer. After try like 17, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I need to walk away.
That's the thing is you don't have to do it. Eventually, I mean, you can just go and try the things
But the voice acting is great. It's fun just seeing all the characters, all the alien species that we've come to love. They're just everywhere, and just chilling. And I love there's one scene where there's a stormtrooper guarding an entrance and you have to present him with fake papers to get through. And he looks at him and he's like, I can't remember the name, but he reads off this like triple long, are you really such and such? And she's yeah, that's me. I had a weird mom or something. And he's like, all right. And he lets you through. And there's comical moments in it too. So it's,
Yep. And this familiar things about it. Like, Kira's in it. She's the head of Crimson Dawn. Eventually I think my daughter hasn't gotten there yet, but you get to Tatooine and you're going to be at Jabba's palace, and Kijimi is on there. You go to Akiva, which is a planet known from the Aftermath books. And then of course you start on Canto Bight. You're from Canto Bight, so.
Yes, that part of The Last Jedi we all love.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So anyway, more to come on that as I get more into that, but.
We should do a deep dive once we're farther in the game.
Yes. Yeah. Real quick, couple pieces of news that I thought were interesting. Obviously, if you have or have not heard of this, but Natasha, I can't remember her last name off the top of my head, that played Sabine in Ahsoka.
She's my sister. No wonder you got that.
Yeah, correct. She revealed that season 2 does not start shooting until summer of 2025, meaning that's going to be a long time until we get Ahsoka season 2, which makes sense because that's going to come after the Mandalorian movie. So totally expected that.
Natasha Bordizzo.
Yeah, that's right. So that means, again, just starting to lay down kind of like the timeline of some of these shows, which doesn't kind of bode well for next year. I mean, we're definitely getting Andor next year, but I don't know what else we're getting yet. We haven't.
I'm sure they have something cooking. I'm sure they do.
I mean,
like another Tales of the whatever.
Maybe an animated something, but live action wise, it looks like Andor might be it next year.
Well, yeah, because I think they were planning on having Acolyte be next year too, right?
I don't know about that, but because that would have been tough because they would have had to start doing something now and shooting now.
I mean, Dave, you know the business. They could have easily just canned it.
They could have, but we're not getting a season 2 of Acolyte,
no, I know.
Unfortunately, so
not happy about it, but whatever.
Yeah. So that is that news. Now, I just saw an article today, actually, that Ewan McGregor he's been getting interviewed for some things, and he revealed that he wants to do another Obi-Wan project.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean he wants to necessarily do. I mean, it obviously would be kind of another series-based thing, I guess, but it wouldn't necessarily be a season 2. But he mentioned it'd be nice to do something else to get closer to the Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan. So he's like something. I think he said something like something that, you know, there's got to be something there with Luke. There's got to be a storyline there. So I don't know. You know, that would be interesting. I am all for it. Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan. I'm all for it.
I'd love it. I'd love to see him getting older the more often we see him.
I would
That'd be
love
cool.
for him to return as Obi-Wan, absolutely. But the whole thing is Luke's like, old crazy Ben? So what
Old Ben,
interaction?
yeah.
What interaction would he have with him? We already see like
Well,
a very little bit of an interaction.
Owen's the ones that calls him a crazy old man, not Luke.
That's true. But like, I'm
Luke
still
says the
saying,
old
like,
wizard, I think.
The old wizard.
Wizard, yeah. But even Luke doesn't know him that well.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
So I while I would love to see him as Obi-Wan again, I don't know what story he would do.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Unless it's him in his ghost form, just watching the sequels unfold, and just sitting there with Qui-Gon eating popcorn, like going, "Oh God, what's going on right now?"
Yeah.
I mean, going the opposite way in the timeline, I would love to see them bring him and Satine, their love story to life.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yes.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah, Ewan's getting older too, though, so it's harder. It's harder to play young Obi-Wan these days.
They can de-age him.
Yeah. I think there's no reason why it could be an Obi-Wan show or a limited series or something like that just brings him off world again, and he doesn't have to interact with Luke or Leia anymore. Like he can. Again, to some reason, go to Mandalore and help Bo-Katan do something, or Sabine do something. Doesn't whatever. It'd just be interesting to see that. And if if someone like Ewan is wanting to do it again, you gotta find a way to do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is that's really the only news that's out there. Still a lot of time now until we get to Skeleton Crew, which is December 3rd. 2 episodes of that. So we're still 3 months away, roughly, till a new live action series. So not much else to talk about that. I'm sure there's going to be more trailers and stuff to come soon, but. Nothing in the works right now. I still think there's going to be some kind of animation announcement at some point, because there's just not much coming out next year. So,
and they don't go too long without a new animated show either.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they're working on something. I feel like that's definitely something they're working on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the rough news. Because I was actually traveling yesterday when the news broke. Was it yesterday or was it Monday? Monday, yeah. I was traveling up to Detroit and saw the news, and James Earl Jones passed away. I think he was 93, and mainly known for Darth Vader, obviously. I think what I've seen, like the next biggest thing is Mufasa.
Yep.
And The Lion King. King Jaffe from Coming to America. He's in Field of Dreams. Those are the movies that I kind of remember him most right away when I think of James Earl Jones. I think it's tough. Thinking back a little bit for me, I think it's tough because when you think of, at least when I think of the original trilogy, and the characters and the actors and everybody that's in there, you tend to, at least in my mind, I tend to think of obviously the big three, Mark, Carey, and Harrison. But my mind still tends to go towards like a Kenny Baker or Anthony Daniels. And I feel like James, because he's the voice of Vader, the person it's sometimes not at least top of my mind at first. But I've always been a huge fan of James Earl Jones. I think, it's one of those guys, one of those people in Hollywood that you never hear anybody say a negative word about. And he's never out there saying anything negative or bad. He's just, the smile that this guy has is infectious. And it's one of those guys that I definitely regret, not regret because I never really had the chance. I mean, he was never guest at these conventions, so I never got a chance to ever meet James Earl Jones. But either way, I remember, I want to say, when episode 3 came out, it was incredible to hear his voice come back to the prequels, because you never thought you never thought Vader was going to be back for any reason. That was awesome. But then the big thing was when he came back for Rebels, and he voiced Rebels, like an animated version of Vader, and all that was just incredible. And you could definitely tell, I'm sure you guys will agree, like there has been things like games, or even sometimes on the audiobooks thing, it's not the same when it's not Vader, it's not James Earl Jones's voice.
Yeah.
But at least what I'm reading and what I'm hearing, which I think is true, is that they do have a sample of his voice, so he will always be Lord Vader, with the AI portion of it. Because I think that's true. Now again, I think I'm sure we'll find out, but I think that's true.
I'm pretty sure he signed over the rights of it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
that's
think
what I'm
they
saying.
paid him out for his voice.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. That was a little bit ago, but you never really kind of heard Lucasfilm say it or anything like that. So, but yeah, I think it's coming out now that he will always be Darth Vader. So, and look, in what I was saying about, thinking about these other people, I remember when Carrie passed, and that hit really hard. I mean, that was tough.
That was rough.
It was really rough.
I was working that morning when the news came in.
Yeah.
And then I was working the morning when her mother was rushed to the hospital. And I was like, oh no, not her too. Like,
yes. It was like 3 days later or something like that, wasn't it?
It was ridiculous. It was such a short window.
Yeah.
So, I was just going to say, it's like, with James, I don't know. It wasn't that I wasn't not surprised, it was surprising, but he is an older guy, and he's kind of been out of it for a little while, as far as out of the work environment and stuff like that. He did come back and do these last few, like he did Lion King a couple of years ago, and
did the sequel to Coming to America.
He did the sequel Coming to America. Yeah. So, he's
93 is a good age.
That is a good age.
Died young. Yeah. He did all right.
He did all right. And, no, I think it'll, it definitely, as I sat there and thought about it more, it's tough to see, the original cast that we've grown up with is slowly fading, which is part of life, but that's,
means we're getting older.
Yeah. It's tough.
It is really tough. And like, I think, so on social media, of course, people are sharing their favorite James Earl Jones clips and things like that. And one is actually his cameo in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Where he and Sheldon do Dig Dong Ditch on Carrie Fisher. Well, apparently that was the first time Carrie and James ever met.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because she was on set. He was the voice. They've never met. So that was the first time they actually met in person. Was on The Big Bang Theory. Yeah. Which, by the way, is my favorite James Earl Jones cameo. hands down.
Oh, he was in The Sandlot too, which was a
He
great
was in the
movie.
Sailor, which, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just watched that the other week.
Yeah.
See, we may have heard him as Darth Vader back in 1979, but the first time I ever saw James Earl Jones, and you guys haven't mentioned yet, Conan the Barbarian, Thulsa Doom. He was the main bad guy. Him against Arnold.
Wow.
No, there's a
Thulsa
movie.
Wow.
I gotta find this movie because there's one movie
I don't think
that
I saw that movie since I was like really young.
Oh, really? It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I got the poster in the theater.
I know
But
you're
yeah,
a Conan guy. Yeah.
I love Conan so much, but he was the main bad guy. He
Wow.
was the leader of the snake cult, and his name was Thulsa Doom, and he was very much James, and that voice, he just commanded respect. And it took Arnold to the end of the movie, the last 5 minutes of the movie, to defeat him. So, I mean, yeah. So, Thulsa Doom, that's my first James Earl Jones. 1982, that was.
Yeah.
My first experience with James Earl Jones was The Lion King because I'm a babby compared to you all.
Yeah.
Wee babby.
Well, you need to look up Thulsa Doom. Yeah, James had long hair, like long black hair down his back.
I've read the Dune series, so I do know that.
No, not
I-
Dune.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were
No,
talking
his
about
name
Dune.
is Thulsa Doom.
Doom. from
Okay,
Tony.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture later.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to find this one movie that he was in that's a very, like, it's not a lot of people know about it, but we read the book and then we watched the movie in middle school. And it's a story about, maybe you all have heard it. It's a story about a pastor in Africa who learns that his son murdered someone and is on death row. And so he travels to talk to his son. Like, it's a whole thing. And it's such a great, great story. And I can't remember the name of the book.
Oh. Wait, wasn't he in The Color Purple with all those famous actors and stuff too? Wasn't he part of that?
I think he was. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was. James Earl Jones. I think he was. Yeah, I'll just go through like his filmography here.
That's not it.
I mean, which is spans obviously. I mean, he was born in 1931, but
Yeah, he's been around.
obviously Lion King, and came back for Rogue One, obviously, and did that. He
I found it. I found the movie.
what's
It's
that?
called Cry the Beloved Country.
Oh.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones once again renders a bravura performance as the African minister whose son has accidentally killed a white man. One can feel his grief and his burden as he tries to straighten the mess out. His son has confessed, but others involved have denied the knowledge of the offense. Great. If you're looking for a movie where you're like, I'm in the mood to cry, that's a great movie to watch. Sorry, that was going to bother me all night until I remembered what the
Good,
name of
no,
it was.
good.
Cry My Beloved Country.
Gotcha. Wow.
He was in. It's just movies that I remember. He was in Clear and Present Danger with Harrison Ford, actually.
Oh
Which is a
yeah.
great movie. The Sandlot, like we said. Sneakers back in '92. Patriot Games back in '92.
I completely forgot he was in The Sandlot until we watched it, and I was like, James Earl Jones.
Yes. He was also in The Hunt for Red October, playing the same character. The whole Jack Ryan series. He was Admiral Greer in those movies.
You're right.
Field of Dreams, obviously. He was
Oh, yeah.
Coming to America.
And if you look in the chat, I posted a link to CMS Thulsa Doom. Yes.
Yep. Conan the Barbarian, 1982. Of course, Star Wars back then. Exorcist 2.
He was in The Exorcist?
Exorcist
Wow.
2 back in
Ooh.
1977.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh, yeah, Conan. Okay, yeah, I didn't watch that.
Look at the long hair on him. Like I mean, he plays a villain
That was
really well
impressive.
too.
The
Yeah.
only
done so much
Conan the
TV.
Barbarian I'm aware of is Jason Momoa.
That's unfortunate for you.
Wait, Jason Momoa was Conan?
Yeah,
They tried to reboot it with him. It was a remake, and
it was awful.
Oh.
it only made $10 million, and it cost them like 120
Wait,
million.
it got it was released in the theaters?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Oh
it's
my
the biggest
gosh.
bomb of his career.
Before Aquaman or after Aquaman?
Before.
Before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that then, so I never.
I didn't see it, but I saw commercials for it, and I fell in love with Jason Momoa
Yeah.
in Stargate Atlantis.
Right.
That was my first introduction to Jason Momoa.
But speaking about James, though, like if you relate him to Star Wars as the voice of Darth Vader, I think we could credit him with saying that Star Wars would probably be, and the character of Darth Vader wouldn't be what it is today without him voicing the character. That is the most iconic voice in cinematic history. There is none other than Darth Vader's voice that you hear it, you immediately know who it is, no matter you're a Star Wars fan or not. Everybody knows the sound of that voice. It gave Darth Vader such presence, something to be feared and something to tremble by like that. Because I don't know if you guys ever seen there's some, you can go find some behind the scenes footage where they have Peter Mayhew speaking because he's the one dressed as Darth Vader.
Not Peter Mayhew.
David Prowse.
David Prowse, sorry, got the names wrong.
Yeah.
And you hear David Prowse reading the lines as Darth Vader, and I'm so glad they did not go with that because it does not make him sound intimidating at all.
And he's a British actor, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a British accent? Yeah.
I mean, there's that scene where he's force choking and he's got the guy and he's like, "You will tell us where the rebel base is," or whatever, and it's in this squeaky little British voice, like, holy cow.
There's this author. Yeah, there's this author who his name's Brandon Sanderson, fantastic author, and he's also a professor, and he's like, "Oh, you want to learn how to tell a good story? Here you go." And he basically like has a podcast, and he like shared on YouTube all of his lectures and stuff because he doesn't care. But in a podcast he did, he was going through what makes a good villain. And there are two things that makes a good villain: good character, good design. And for Vader, it was no question. It was, good, great character, great design. Like there was no question. And I think James' voice, which let's be honest, can melt butter. Yeah. His voice can just cut through butter, melt it.
Yep.
You're right. Like any other voice for Darth Vader just would not make any sense.
Nope.
Well, did you know that George's original his first choice for Vader's voice was Orson Welles?
Which I could see.
But apparently he was too big of a name and couldn't get him to do a little Star Wars movie, so he got James Earl Jones.
Well, I'm glad he got James Earl Jones instead, because while Orson Welles would have worked, it wouldn't have been the iconic Darth Vader that we know.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it spans the galaxy. It is just that voice. It's Darth Vader is intimidating because of James Earl Jones.
Yes.
Anybody else wouldn't have done it justice, and Vader just would not have been what we know him to be.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is turning him over to the light side again, it's still Vader, and you can't. I cannot imagine anybody else playing that role, and I can't imagine Star Wars not having him as part of it. It's iconic.
Yeah,
there is nothing more iconic than Vader.
There isn't.
For the same reasons you said, because his design of his outfit and the intimidating factor of how big he was, how tall he was, and then the voice. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. He it's one of the things where the person, of course, will be missed and forever, etched in our brains but God willing, it's his legacy is going to keep going, and that Vader is going to somehow continue to be a part of Star Wars projects, and the fact that they're able to still use his likeness and stuff like that, his voice for it, just means that character will always be around. And
yeah,
and Vader is very, very important to Star Wars, and the combination to me in a way, knowing that Hayden actually is in the suit and Vader and James is the voice, like that's a awesome combination.
I was just about to say that's like it's just it brings you so much joy.
Yes,
that both people who are two halves of this character.
Yeah. Well, they melded them perfectly in the Obi-Wan show.
That's right.
When his mask was cut and his voice was cutting in and out, so you could hear Anakin and James Earl Jones mixed up. It's like, wow.
While I was not a fan of the show Obi-Wan, I will say that was a great moment.
Yeah.
It was a heartbreaking moment, but that was a great moment.
Not a fan of the show.
What did we talk about in the beginning, Dave? Everybody has opinions.
I know.
Did you like Obi-Wan better than The Acolyte?
I would probably have to go back and watch both because there were aspects of The Acolyte I liked. And I liked part of what they were doing. I thought the writing was bad, but I see what they were trying to do. I just don't know if it was executed appropriately. And I feel like if they were willing to fully take the risk and fully jump and submerge into the Sith lore, we might be having a different conversation today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty much what we all feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Executed poorly.
Yeah. Definitely.
But maybe if they throw in James Earl Jones's voice in there every now and again to just be a character, maybe it'll be better.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys seen any of the pictures out there, but there's definitely a lot of pictures floating around that the best ones I've seen are the gravestones that say James Earl Jones on it, and then Darth Vader is standing there, and like Mufasa's like standing, hugging the tomb, the gravestone, and it's just awesome.
And apparently the Empire State Building put a big Vader image down the front of the building. That was cool.
They did.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill shared a couple pictures of him with James Earl Jones, which is pretty cool to see from the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, but like you said, Hannah, it's like it's none of those guys. It's amazing to think none of those guys worked with him really on the movies, right? Because he was just in the booth, and that's where I was saying, when you see images of the cast, he's never in them because he wasn't there.
But like for me personally, growing up, I know that for you, that's not one of the first names that come to mind, but for me, it is.
Yeah.
The four names that come to mind are Carrie, Mark, Harrison, and James.
Oh.
Like James is always in the top 4 or 5 names I think of whenever I think of the OG Star Wars cast.
Yeah.
And maybe that could just be in the generation I grew up, because I already knew who Darth Vader was before I watched the movies. Like that's how iconic he was. Everybody knew who Darth Vader was.
Yeah. I would only say it wasn't for me just because whenever you see, like in the 80s especially, whenever you saw people promoting or talking about Star Wars, it was always obviously the 3, but then it was always Anthony Daniels after that.
Yeah.
It was always Kenny Baker, and it was always Peter Mayhew. And 2 of those 3 we've lost as well.
I mean, but that just shows a difference in our generations.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, the next generation was the prequel stuff, but which Vader, Didn't show up till the very end, but I mean the original cast, because again, Vader or James was cast later after the movie was getting made. Because David Prowse, I mean, everybody is, again, growing up, everybody knew David Prowse was Vader. He was a massive star as far as in weightlifting and, bodybuilding. So he had the stature to play Vader. And, again, I think Prowse passed away, right? Yeah. David Prowse passed away too.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So we've lost a good amount of the cast now.
We have.
But, I think Harrison and Hamill and Anthony Daniels might be the only ones really left. I mean, Alec Guinness obviously passed, and Peter Cushing obviously passed a long time ago. But Frank Oz is still around. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Frank. Yep, he's still around. Anthony Daniels is.
Yeah, Anthony Daniels is definitely around. That guy doesn't age, I feel like.
He tweeted something or X something.
Daniels.
Anthony Daniels said James Earl Jones was the sweetest man who played the baddest villain.
Yeah,
now
that's right.
That's acting. His voice will be with us always.
That's exactly right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else on James?
Wait, what else you got? 2024. Come on, what else you got?
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, man.
I'll tell you, that was not on my 2024 bingo card.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
Well, if you guys haven't seen Conan the Barbarian, go watch it just for James Earl Jones, to see him as another iconic bad guy. Okay, James versus Arnold. Like he's pretty badass for sure.
Right. Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember seeing Conan one time, I think, when I was young, but that was it. But which one is it? The first one, Conan the Barbarian?
First one, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he delivers a performance. Like he commands the screen, even in a sword and sorcery movie. It's
Okay. Well, thanks, Hannah, for coming back.
Thank you for having me back.
Of course. This is your show. Martin, I'm sure we'll do some council sessions here. We got a little bit of a gap for Mandalore.
We do
until we get back in December.
We'll do an Outlaws episode.
There you go.
Yeah, we got Outlaws to do. But,
do a special Beyond the Saga episode.
Yeah.
Beyond the Saga. Yeah, we got Beyond the Sagas to do. Lots of stuff to do. So thanks for joining, everybody. Let us know what your memories are of James Earl Jones as we say goodbye to a extremely huge actor and huge contributor to the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Easily the most iconic character that's in cinema.
May he rest in peace.
I don't know how you can argue that.
I don't think you can.
You can't.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. All right. So hopefully getting back into the rhythm again of weekly Inside the Forces as Hannah's schedule is a little lighter, maybe a little lighter.
We'll talk.
Yeah, a little lighter. So, all right, Martin, I'll be in touch, buddy. Thank you.
All right. No problem, guys.
Thank you.
Hannah, take care. We'll see you soon. And thanks, everybody, especially our patrons. As always, take care. Have a great rest of the week. May the Force be with you.